Yes, you remember last week we started
Hi,
sections.
I'm
blah, blah,
SpongeBob.
blah, speed, blah, blah,
Hi,
blah, blah,
SpongeBob.
blah, red light,
I'm gonna
blah,
kick
blah,
your
blah,
butt.
blah, blah, right away at the whale crossing.
Okay, I'm ready. I said I'm ready.
Knockout!
This game is fucking hard, but it's also pretty fun. Punch-Out is one of those old school Nintendo franchises that helped put the company on the map alongside Daddy Mario and Aunt Zelda, establishing a simple but addicting premise with more history than you might think or care about. So, before we jump into the spaghetti and meatballs, it's always good to take a step back and pay our respects to the classics. Way back when our country was going through the Industrial Revolution, we had magical places called arcades. And in 1984, these magical places introduced our ancestors to the first Punch-Out game. Which kind of looked horrible, but it's okay, because 1 year later, we got the exciting sequel called Super Punch-Out. Which, okay, still doesn't look great, but it's fine, because in 1987, geezers with a NES got the first home console game in the series. Also called Punch-Out. Kinda strange, yes, but it doesn't matter, because 7 years after that, a SNES sequel was released, named Super Punch-Out. This series is preposterous, but the most important thing to take away is that these games built a foundation, mixing a concoction of fast-paced boxing action with underlying puzzle-oriented mechanics that spawned what is to many people a classic. That being said, these games are all very old, so therefore, they are all bad. So instead, we're going to talk about what happens when you take an archaic execution of a great idea and create a faithful reimagination on a much more OP console. Punch-Out, but for the Wii this time. You play as a character named littlemac, or as he's called in Japan, littlemac, a 17-year-old boxer from the Bronx who dreams of becoming the WVBA champion. With the mentorship of his coach, former world heavyweight champion Doc Lewis, Mac aims to fight his way through the minor, major, and world circuits, earning the title of the best by destroying 13 unique fighters from all over the world. But listen, if you're like me, then you're not here for the story. You're here for the... Rarely does a game introduce a cast of characters so memorable and diverse where not even a single one misses. Glass Joe is a boxer from France, so naturally, he is the most feeble, pathetic fighter in the entire WVBA. Great Tiger is from India, so of course he flies around on a magic carpet and summons shadow clones with his magical wizard Turban Jewel. Piston Hondo? He is an honorable fighter that speaks in ancient Japanese proverbs from the samurai era and sees sushi spinning around his head when he's stunned. He also reads the Sailor Moon manga between rounds. You have fighters from Spain, Turkey, Ohio, Pinhead Larry, and the guy from Ratatouille. So many characters bursting with personality and charm, brought to life by the expressive animations and a detailed, cel-shaded art design. Soda Popinski. I mean, this is literally what I want to be when I grow up. And, remember that old game I mentioned earlier? They had some funny jokes, but we don't talk about those anymore. Even Doc is surprisingly fleshed out and full of life, actually providing Mac with strategic advice for the opponent you're fighting in the 10% of the time he isn't just talking trash and farming chocolate bars. But with all that being said, I think the most special thing about this game is its use of language. Have you ever thought about how important the use of language is across the various forms of media we consume? You know, like, oh, those guys are speaking Russian, they must be the villains. There is so much depth to the complexity of language that people way smarter than me know much more than me about, but what stood out to me the most was Punch-Out's almost unnecessary level of accuracy in portraying characters from so many different cultures. Authenticity. Like, take Don Flamenco, a boxer from Madrid who speaks the distinct variation of Spanish spoken in Spain, as opposed to the Spanish spoken in Latin American countries. Piston Hondo, on the other hand, speaks a samurai-ass version of Japanese, which is definitely better than... But that isn't even the most interesting part. Where punchout's authenticity really shines is in its attention to what's known in linguistics as primary interjections or non-lexical vocables. For all my idiots out there, this basically just means sounds. Different cultures will vocalize reactions or expressions of emotion in unique ways. So Von Kaiser's, Great Tigers, Piston Hondos, and my dad's are all examples of sounds that, to Americans like me, might just sound like simple, goofy cartoon noises, but in reality are deliberate reflections of the places these characters come from. Like this. The level of research and care the developers and voice actors put into making these characters feel as real as possible is astonishing. Implementing a level of unwritten depth so seamlessly integrated into the game that most people wouldn't even notice it. And then you got the music. The main theme goes hard as fuck with the guitar and brass, but as you progress through the fights, your earballs will be hard as granite from the brilliant instrumentation reflecting each character's fighting style or country of origin. You'll notice the themes are all renditions of the main motif, which gives this cohesion to the game, that each track is connected, while at the same time making every fight feel unique, immersing the player in a soundtrack that perfectly captures your opponent's characteristics and flair. Punch-Out glides right past having a conventional story or an overarching conflict, instead focusing all of its attention on only its most important aspects. Like, the Wii's relationship with motion controls is about as intimate as my mom's relationship with the Amazon delivery man. And you better believe Punch-Out is a package that's delivered directly to her bedroom. There's an analogy in there somewhere, but we're gonna move past it. Bottom line, Punch-Out implements motion as an integral part of its gameplay. And to my honest surprise, it's the most fun way to play the game. You effectively have 3 actions you can execute: punching, dodging, and blocking. Opponents can be bashed in either the head or the torso to deplete their stamina and knock them down, with the additional opportunity to gain stars if you time your punches at specific moments, allowing you to store up to 3 before unleashing a star punch on your opponent's face hole, dealing extra damage. If you're going for 100%, you're going to want to get good at this. There are 3 main modes that make up Punch-Out's career. Contender, where Mac begins his conquest of the game's 13 fighters broken up over 3 unique circuits. Title Defense, where Mac must defend his belt against every opponent, locked and loaded with new appearances, moves, mechanics, and straight up fucking cheats. And Mac's Last Stand, where Mac will go out in a blaze of glory, fighting a random sequence of every opponent until he loses a total of 3 times, after which he will retire from boxing forever. At 17 years old. If you think of contender fights like a baby goo goo gaga kindergarten class where you're eating boogers and shitting your pants like I did back in the day, then TD is like being the tape wrapped around your glasses cartoon nerd, getting a 3-hit noogie swirly wet willy combo. It is absolutely fucked up how goddamn difficult this mode becomes after a certain point. All of these knuckleheads will have new and more varied attack patterns, which often require completely different strategies to maximize effectiveness. Until they just end up pulling all 5 pieces of Exodia on the next turn, ba 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 ba, stomped. They also get the ability to dodge star punches, just like for fun. Once you grow some hair on your chest and squeak out a win in TD, you enter the game's final challenge. Last Stand does not allow you to restart a fight from the pause menu, so you're gonna have to be a big boy and win in order to progress. Accumulating 3 losses will cause Mac to officially retire from boxing, locking career mode permanently, making it forever unplayable on your current profile. This, however, is only the beginning, because you also have exhibition mode, which, if you're a 100%er like me, will take several years off of your lifespan. Outside of serving as practice when you first unlock a fighter in career mode, exhibition lets you fight any of the characters you've defeated throughout the main story in both forms, additionally containing an array of optional challenges to complete as you go. These range from winning the match under specific conditions, to discovering secrets during a fight, getting TKO'd by goddamn Glass Joe, to deep-throating bear hugger. Some of these challenges get downright evil, carefully curated by the psychopath developers to take all the fun I've had up to this point and turn it into pure hatred and rage. It's absurd, but when you do finally complete them, you really feel like you've mastered the game. There is a unique, intrinsic satisfaction of completely obliterating a fighter once you understand their entire moveset and attack pattern. By the time I got to retirement though, I didn't want anything to do with this game anymore. So I gave the controller to my girlfriend, and she just kinda... Honestly, this game just sucks to complete. It sucks more than Redditors suck the fun out of any topic of conversation. Going through all of the exhibition challenges and eventually Champions mode removes virtually any fun from the game for me. Having to repeat fights over and over again if I don't play perfectly, over the course of hours, just for a handful of idiot achievements. I became fueled only by hatred and spite to keep going. And having finally done everything, I can confidently say that nobody should ever 100% Punch-Out, because it is an evil game made by evil Canadian people. But if you do complete it, at least the rewards are pretty cool. So let's talk about it. There are a total of 13 fights to complete throughout both contender and title defense modes, all of which unlock the opponent's opening cutscenes in the gallery when defeated. If you manage to lose 100 total career fights, just like Glass Joe did, you will unlock the headgear, giving you the option to select it for any contender or TD match to significantly reduce the amount of damage you take. If you're a baby, which I am. As you fight through Last Stand, you will have a random chance to encounter the secret 14th fighter. Donkey Kong, motherfucker. It's 2023, we all know this already. But this is easily one of the coolest additions they could have made in this incarnation of the series. And your boy got him on the second fight. He also kidnaps Mac if you lose, which is pretty funny. In addition to DK, you can also unlock a new exhibition feature called Champions Mode when you win a total of 10 Last Stand fights. Made only for gamers with the largest of balls, Mac will be knocked down in one hit from any attack, and opponents will no longer glow red or yellow to telegraph their moves. Stomping an opponent in Champions Mode will grant you their Champion's Medal, displayed on the exhibition menu. This was very stressful, especially because you can easily miss the most exciting rewards. But I'll tell you a little secret. If you restart your Wii before you complete max KO animation, you can restart the fight without taking the loss. Now, is this considered cheating? Yeah, but I'd like to see you get far enough to unlock everything the old-fashioned way, your holiness. Finally, we get to the worst part of the game, exhibition challenges. These are vile, disgusting achievements for pulling off specific tasks during a fight, rewarding you with star medals as you complete them. Farming all three will unlock that character's theme and audio clips in the gallery. But good luck with that. So many of these dumbass challenges require you to play perfectly, memorizing several characters' entire attack patterns and executing frame-perfect timing over multiple rounds just to have a chance. Why? Why make these challenges so insane? Defeat Donkey Kong in 150 seconds? Do you understand how hard this is to do? It's complete bogus. And honestly, they're the biggest reason why I would never recommend completing this game to anyone. If I wasn't a deviant obsessed with mentally insane blue-haired women, I would have stopped after unlocking DK. But instead, I decided to enter the upper echelons of gaming and sacrifice my sanity in the process. It took me more than 40 hours of grinding over a week and a half to 100% this game. 15% of that time was spent on this guy, another 15 on this asshole, a solid 20 on this motherfucker, fucking 40% on goddamn piece of shit DK, and the rest on everything else. Punch-Out for the Wii was easily one of the hardest games I have ever 100%ed. Even harder than
Melania, Blade of Mikola.
And this had a pretty significant impact on my experience with it. But having come out of the darkness alive, I really appreciate all of the detail and care that went into its development, especially when it comes to the balance of creating a faithful remake that also brings something new to the franchise. The characters are incredibly well designed and feel real, despite how cartoony and over the top they act. The gameplay is smooth and responsive, the music is extremely cool, and there's definitely an inherent satisfaction from truly mastering each fighter and just getting good at the game. 8 out of 10, overpowered game. Remove the goddamn challenges, please.